Hi everybody, it's Doreen and welcome back to day 8 of Christmas cards with the Cricut. This is the card for day number 8, and if you look at it laying down, it's a Christmas tree with a star, and then if you stand it up, it's sort of a 3D card. And I got this idea from Kathy from Paper Phenomenon. She did an advent calendar where she had a 3D tree. So let's get started so I can show you how I made it. Okay, the first thing we need to do is make the base of our card. This is some black cardstock that I had, and it's from the Recollections collection again, and it measures 5.5 by 8.5. And what I'm going to do is take my score buddy and go ahead and score it so we can make this a 4.25 by 5.5 inch card. Well, I might need to score that a second time. It looks like it didn't go through. I didn't press hard enough. Okay, there we go. So now we've got that all scored and we can put the score buddy away. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up my supplies, and this bottom layer of my card, what I did was I actually got this technique from Gina K. Her channel is Stamp TV, and what she recommended, or what she showed how to do, was supposing you just wanted, like on my original card, I just wanted just a little small edge embossed around one of my layers. So what you do to do this technique is you take your embossing ink and you just run it along the edge, and it doesn't matter if you get it uneven or it's not right, because it's going to be covered up with another layer on top anyway. So that's what I did, was I took my embossing ink and just ran it along each edge, and then after I did that, I took and embossed it, or took some embossing powder, and the color I used was called Platinum, and it's by Creations Unlimited, and I picked this up about 5 or 6 years ago at a rubber stamp show, so I've had it for quite a while. And I went on ahead and I embossed that, and this is what it ended up coming out like. And like I said before, I'm not going to worry about this being uneven, because it's going to be covered up anyway. Now the paper measures 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. And I probably, nope, I didn't write on the back. Normally I write on the back because I do make so many cards I forget what I cut them at. So as I said, it's 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to tape this down to my card using my ATG gun. And I hope I have enough tape left in here, so it's about time for me to change the roll. So I'm just going to go ahead and, yep, I am out. So I'm going to have to switch over to my Tombow adhesive. And I'll do that. And then I'm going to just go ahead and lay this down like so. And then I have that layer. So now the next layer that I'm going to put on top of this is going to be 5 1/4 by 4. And when you do that, that's when I said, like I said, don't worry about, oh, that's not the right sheet. Here we go. Don't worry about the mistakes that you made here, because it's not going to be seen anyway. And you just put that right on top, and then therefore you see you have just a thin embossed layer going all the way around. Let me zoom in so you can see what that looks like. It's right going across all the way down. I really think this is a really cool and fun technique for just having just a little embossed edge along there. I'm going to go ahead and load up my ATG gun because this is some pretty heavy cardstock, and I don't know if the Tombow adhesive is going to hold it down. So let me go ahead and do that, and then I'll be right back. Okay, everybody, I'm back, and she's all loaded up. So let me go ahead and start getting set to adhere this down. Now, before I actually go ahead and adhere this to my layer, my bottom layer here, I'm going to take a piece of ribbon, and the ribbon looks like this, and I'm going to go ahead and attach that to the back, the front of my layer, my top layer. And I'm going to use the cheater method again and just tape across the ribbon. I got to get my tape. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and tape this across down here at the bottom. Line it up, look to see where I want it, and just go ahead and tape it down. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. But before I tape it down, I'm going to make sure I've got it even, and then just go ahead and tape it down. This is the quick way to do it. Okay, it's a little bit off, so now it's even. So now I can go ahead and tape it down to my card. So now that my ATG gun is all loaded and ready to go, I'm going to go ahead and tape my edges and tape in the middle. And I'm going to put a lot of tape on here because this is some really heavy cardstock. And I also picked this up a while ago when I picked up the embossing powder. So I'm going to go ahead and open up my card and lay this down. And remember, you're only going to see just a little hint of the embossed edge. So there. Now I've got it all laid down. Okay, and so now we're going to go ahead and add our other layer. We're going to add our tree. So now this tree is cut at 3.5 inches, and this is from the Paper Doll Cricut cartridge. And that is on page 73, and it looks like this. Now I did cut this out on the Gypsy, or using my Gypsy, and like I said, I cut it 3.5 inches, and I cut 3 of them to make it have the 3D look. Then I took 2 of the trees and I inked them first, and then I took my favorite Silver Fire Opal embossing powder and embossed the trees. And then I only did 2 of them. I didn't do the third one because the third one is going to be laying flat on the paper. So after I had them embossed, I then took my iRock and some of my iRock gems. Let me get those. And I adhered them to the tree. So they ended up coming out looking like this. And then I just tried a little pink little piece of string on the bottom. Now to put them together, I also, before I embossed, I took and ran down the middle and folded each tree over to put a crease in the middle. And then you just attach one to the other. So now I'm going to go ahead and put this down. And I'm going to use the glue gun for this because like once you emboss this, this becomes really heavy and I want it to stick down. So I'm just going to take my glue gun and I'm going to go ahead and adhere it down with the glue gun. And I'm going to stick it right there. I want to move it over just a little if I can. So then it ends up looking like this. And when you stand it up, it looks like that. And then the next thing I did was I took and cut a piece of the same gray cardstock. And this is cut at 1 5/8 by 2 1/4. And then I took a stamp that I had from an Inkadinkadoo stamp. It's the Warm Wishes collection. And I stamped out with some embossing ink, Merry Christmas. And this is probably a little hard to see. And then I embossed it again with that Silver Fire Opal. And then I took my eye rocket tool again and I added some of the Glam Rock silver to the edges of the Merry Christmas tag. And the Merry Christmas tag was cut at 2 by 1 1/8. So now I'm going to take some foam tape and adhere this to my card. And I'm going to put probably 2 thicknesses of this on there. So I'm going to add that. And to add my 2 thicknesses, I peel off the layer and then add on another layer. So let me cut 2 more layers. And add that. Oops, it's coming up. Okay, there we go. And then I'll add my second one. And then I'll go ahead and peel that off. And peel the second one off. And then I'm going to adhere it to the card. And I'm going to just place it and eyeball it right on top of my ribbon. So, there we have it. Okay, the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to add my star. And this was actually an ornament that I took and added some bling. And I'm going to go ahead and glue it down using my glue gun and just lay it right there. And there's the front of the card. Now, for the inside of the card, I took and I found this wording, and it says, Christmas comes but once a year. May this card bring joy and cheer. Hope your days are cheery and bright. Lift your hearts, look up tonight. And it says Merry Christmas and my name and my husband's name. And I'm just going to go ahead and eyeball that and make sure I've got it even and put that inside the card. Now, I had to practice several times before I got this right, so that's why you see something on the back of there. That's the bad side. So I'm going to take my ATG gun again and run this across the edges and in the middle. And then I'm going to go ahead and add this to my card. Make sure I get it there even. And there it is. And then my last thing that I want to do is I have to rubber stamp something in there. So I'm going to take some of the going gray by Stampin' Up. And I'm going to ink up my stamp. And this is another stamp from the Warm Wishes. And I'm just going to eyeball it and stamp out the following. It says Christmas is on its way. So that's it. Card is all done. So this is card number 8 of Christmas cards with the Cricut. Thanks for watching, everybody. Bye.